All right, so today we're going to talk about puppetry. So what is a puppet? It's a movable model of a person or animal that is used in entertainment and is typically moved either from strings controlled from above or by a hand inside it. So that's a really complicated definition. So let's talk a little bit more about the history of puppetry. So puppets have been a part of theater for centuries, and there are certain countries and areas that are even more well known for their puppetry. So Japan has what's called bunraku puppetry, and these are very experienced puppeteers who have to go through years of training with a mentor before they can actually become a puppeteer themselves. And these puppets are maneuvered with 3 puppeteers, one functioning the head and the facial expressions, one functioning the arms, and the third functioning the lower part of the body, the feet and the legs. In Africa, they actually originated rod puppetry. In Italy, they originated marionettes, which are the puppets that are held by strings above the puppet. In Greece, we have a history of shadow puppetry. And in France, we have the first hand puppets being used. If you are in the slideshow, then what I'd strongly encourage you to do now is pause the video and open up this virtual tour of, let's see if I can, okay, so this virtual tour of the Puppet Museum, International Puppetry Museum, where you can see by country where some of these puppets are, what they look like. You can see the exhibits virtually online. So the types of puppets that are most well known are the hand puppets, rod puppets, shadow puppets, finger puppets, glove puppets, marionettes, and then we'll also talk about found object puppetry, which is what you will be doing. So first we have hand puppets. These are probably the ones that you see most often in preschools, things like that. We have quite a few of them in our household with 2 small kids. So it's a puppet held by the hand to manipulate the puppet. So sometimes, like you can see in this one, most of your hand is in the head of the puppet, and then you have a finger in both arms. Same with this dog puppet here. So you can manipulate them to a degree, but usually with a hand puppet, you don't manipulate the mouth necessarily. Then you have rod puppets. These are the Sesame Street puppets that you see so often. These are the kind of puppets we also have in our classroom. So it's a type of overhead puppet. So the puppeteer is below, just like with the hand puppet. Usually behind either a wall or a table or in an actual puppet theater, and the puppet's above their head. And the puppet is manipulated with either a wooden, metal, or bone rod that supports and controls the body, the head, and the limbs of the puppet. So with Elmo, you see the puppeteer's down here, and you've got her hand inside the mouth of the puppet, but then the arms of Elmo are being controlled by these very small black metal rods. A shadow puppet, I'm sure you've played with when you were a kid, are puppets created with light and manipulation of your hand to create shadows on a wall or screen. And again, if you want to take a second to just pause this video and go into that slideshow and watch this quick YouTube clip for several examples of shadow puppetry. Then we have finger puppets. A finger puppet is a type of puppet that is controlled by one or more fingers that occupy the inside of the puppet. And there's also a video here of me showing you an example of a finger puppet with one of our finger puppet storybooks we had in our house. Then you have the glove puppet, which is very similar to the hand puppet. The difference is that it fits over the whole hand like a glove, and it's moved by the fingers and hand of its wearer. So you can see each finger in the hand is part of the body of the puppet. In this case, the ladybug, all the legs of the ladybug are the fingers of the hand, all of the legs of the bee are fingers in the hand, things like that. A marionette is a puppet worked from above by strings attached to its limbs. In St. Louis, we actually have a marionette theater that's been around for decades. Bob Kramer's Marionettes downtown in downtown St. Louis. If you ever have a chance to go see a show, I went when I was a kid with my father, and it was really, really memorable. He puts a lot of time and work into those marionettes. He builds them from scratch, and he can even show you how he does that after his shows. But you may have seen marionettes if you've ever seen the original Sound of Music film with Julie Andrews. There's a scene with the lonely goat herd, and they use marionettes in that scene. So if you want to pause and watch that clip, you can. Then we have found object puppets, and this is what we typically would do in class. So a puppet that is a found object puppet can be is created by any found objects that can be manipulated into a character. Some of the most common things that you can use to create a found object puppet are popsicle sticks, brown bags, and socks, but really it's anything that you can find. So these are just some examples. The ones on the left I made while I've been home in quarantine. So you have a T-Rex puppet, just a person, a Triceratops and a raptor. Then this is a good example of a paper bag puppet where they've just taken some cut out pieces of construction paper and glued those on. You can make a sock puppet either by adding eyes or just creating that kind of mouth with the sock itself. So your assignment is to create your own puppet show. The objective to create a puppet show and record it. So the show must have at least 2 characters, obviously one for each hand. If you want to have more and find a way to change out your puppets, that's your call, but you need at least 2. Scripts should be no less than a minute in length when you perform them. So you will have to practice to make sure it fits that 1 minute length. Students may read from the script while performing. So you don't have to be memorized, but just know that if you're manipulating puppets and reading a script and projecting your voice, it can be a lot. So you might want to have a pretty simple script so that it's easy to maybe improvise as you go along, things like that. Students should create puppets from found objects in their home. I do not want you to go out and buy anything. I do not want you to feel like you need to order stuff to create a puppet. Use what you find at home. And there will be an additional video that I'd like you to watch where I kind of show you some examples of things that you might find around your house without going anywhere. So watching this video, see how you can find a puppet with items around your home. So take a minute and watch that video. And then step 2 is to create a puppet script. So use the template that's in Google Classroom and create your puppet script. If you are a 7th or 8th grader, this might look familiar because we use the same template for the radio show. When you read aloud your script, it should be at least 1 minute long. Then step 3 is that performance and recording of your puppet show. Unfortunately, we can't perform these live for one another, but we can do the best we can to record them. So record your puppet show either with the help of a family member or using your webcam. So if you have somebody else who can just kind of hold up their phone and record it, or focus the webcam on you and make sure that everything's going great, then awesome. But if you're alone, you can still use your webcam. Just make sure that you're in the shot. You, the actor, may be hidden or visible in your puppet show. So if you want to, set it up in front of your bed and record from the bed facing you, or you want to set it up on a table and you be behind the table or behind the couch, that's your call. Or if you just want to be visible with the puppets next to you, that's fine too. Just know that I have to be able to hear you and I have to be able to see your puppets. So if I see you too, that's fine. But if not, I have to hear you. I have to see the puppet. Okay? So those are the steps for your assignment. If you have any questions or you're having trouble, feel free to pop into the Zoom at 3:30 any day, and you can ask me any questions. I can walk you through it.